Johnny Depp finds his half-brother in prison. Johnny Depp was touring a correctional facility for a charity documentary, shaking hands, sharing laughs, but then he stopped. One inmate caught his eye. The resemblance was unsettling. Same eyes, same crooked smirk. It was like looking in a broken mirror. The inmate's name, Jack, a petty thief with a long rap sheet and no family. Or so he thought. Curious, Johnny pulled some strings. A quiet DNA test. A call to his mother. A secret buried for over 50 years came to light. Jack was Johnny's half-brother. Same father. Different worlds. But here's where it gets wild. Johnny didn't walk away. He didn't write a check and vanish. Instead, he returned to the prison, again and again. He sat with Jack, talked, listened, laughed, and then Johnny did something no one expected. Johnny stood beneath the harsh fluorescent lights of the visitation room, the kind that made everyone look like a ghost of themselves. Jack sat across from him, arms folded, eyes guarded. The silence between them buzzed louder than the prison intercom. "I'm not a charity case," Jack muttered. "I'm not here to fix you," Johnny replied softly. "I'm here because you're my brother." Weeks passed. Johnny kept coming back. They talked about music, about the films Jack never got to see, about the father neither of them truly knew. And slowly Jack started to open up. The walls he'd built over years behind bars began to crumble. One afternoon, Johnny brought an old worn photo of him as a child, with their father. Jack stared at it like it was a sacred artifact. "He held you," Jack said. "He never held me." "He didn't stay," Johnny said. "He just passed through." Jack looked away, blinking fast. "You got out." "I never did." Johnny leaned in. "Maybe we both still can." That was the beginning. Johnny hired a legal team not to buy freedom, but to earn it. He helped Jack enroll in therapy and vocational programs inside. He wrote character letters, paid for educational materials, and even set up acting workshops at the facility. "Acting?" Jack laughed the first time. "I've been faking tough my whole life. Might as well do it on a stage." The warden watched this transformation with quiet awe. So did the guards. Jack was changing, not just for Johnny, but for himself. The parole board took notice. On the day of the hearing, Jack's hands trembled as he stood to speak. "I've been angry most of my life," he admitted. "But I've learned that being angry is easier than being honest. I was a thief, but I stole from myself more than anyone. I had a brother and never knew. I had a future, and I let it rot. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to live the rest of my life, proving I deserve a second chance." 3 weeks later, Jack walked out of the prison gates into the sunlight. Johnny was waiting. They didn't hug right away. They just looked at each other. Two men with matching eyes, finally seeing each other clearly. Then Jack stepped forward, and Johnny opened his arms. In the months that followed, they lived quietly. Jack worked in construction. Honest work, tiring, but grounding. Johnny visited often, never with cameras, just as a brother. Sometimes they'd sit on Jack's porch with coffee and silence, the good kind. One evening, Jack turned to Johnny. "Why'd you keep coming back?" Johnny smiled. "Because someone has to believe in you before you believe in yourself." Jack nodded. "You saved me." "No," Johnny said, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small keychain, an old guitar pick Jack had carved into a charm. "You did that." In time, Jack started speaking at youth detention centers, not as a warning, but as a mirror. He shared his story, not to glorify it, but to show the cracks and the light that came through them. Years later, when Jack stood beside Johnny at a charity gala, people whispered, "The actor and the ex-con." But Johnny only grinned, threw his arm around his brother and said, "Family isn't perfect. It's chosen." And Jack just smiled, that crooked smirk, the same one Johnny wore, and whispered, "Let's roll." Together they walked forward, not into the spotlight, but into something better. Forgiveness, freedom, and brotherhood.